Well, hey there, folks. We have a beautiful Friday today. So it's that time of year where all the birds have laid their eggs and all the eggs are starting to hatch. And so we have a nest like right outside this window up high under the eaves, where there's a little family of baby birds and they've all hatched. I can't see them, but I sure can hear them because they're peep, 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 peep all over the place. And then I think I mentioned the other day, my wife put out a wreath that has a nest and some eggs in it. So and then we get turkeys all over around here. It's the middle of town, but there's a bunch of turkeys, families of turkeys who just always have been here, and babies have been hatching. And we saw a bunch of little turkey chicks yesterday. It was really cute. It was super cute. So yeah, today, happy Friday. We have a big old weekend coming up. Well, not a big weekend, just a regular sized weekend, but every weekend's kind of a big weekend if you plan it right. So not a ton of stuff to talk about today other than just goals and what has been accomplished so far. We did a lot this week. Mostly staying on top of chores. We got some new furniture in the house, which was kind of a big thing for us. And one thing I've been doing differently this week is staying on top of grading. Next week, I have to turn in progress report grades for the last progress report, the quarter 4 progress report for students. And it's the last progress report before the end of the year, before semester grades are due. And that feels kind of good. This year's been a super weird year for a lot of reasons, and not as weird as last year, but they've all kind of blended together. This school year's certainly been super weird. So the final progress report grading period before the end of the semester is coming up next week. And instead of saving everything for the last minute, I've kind of had to grade things as I go. And part of that's because I've been doing like an incremental project where students have to have their first project graded in return before they can do the second part of the project. And that's been good for the kids because that's something where they can have something continuous to focus on. And it's also been good for me because it's been forcing me to get in and do a little bits of grading every day. I hate grading. Grading sucks. It's the worst thing in the world. But, it's got to be done, and I've got to stay on top of it. So I've been making a game out of it and, just putting it on my list every day right under attendance and doing grading. So I'll take care of little chunks of grading, and I'm pretty well all caught up on grading. I just have some attendance items to log in, basically. And then next week, it's just data entry. It's just entering scores from one system to another. And that feels good because I know I don't have this giant thing hanging over my head that I'm going to have to address at some point next week that I don't want to. I've done little bits of it, and it's been totally manageable. And this is great. My life is great. Normally, I'd be really dreading that part and stressing about it and thinking, oh man, I'm going to have to get this done on my weekend. And I'd rather be working on my things on the weekend instead of school things on the weekend. You don't want to be working on work stuff over the weekend. Like, don't do that. I've never been a teacher who takes work home regularly. Occasionally, like when grades are due, if I have a stack of stuff that I just have to get through, back when I was teaching art, I would take things home if I had to, but it's not a usual occurrence for me. I know colleagues, I know teachers who that's their usual. They take grading home every night or over the weekend, and they work on it for hours after school. And I'm like, okay, you've already spent, 6 or 7 hours teaching, at your job doing your job. 7.25 hours, I think, actually teaching. You had your half-hour lunch break. You had another 15-minute break in there. So you've worked a full day, a full 8-hour day when you factor in lunch break. And most people get a longer lunch break than the 30 minutes that we get. They get more frequent breaks than the 15 minutes, the 15-minute break that we get, right? We're talking about like a normal school year, not distance learning. But it's you're going to take more work home on top of that. Like, respect your 8-hour day, man. It's so when I started building my teaching philosophy, you have to have a teaching philosophy. Like, every teacher's got to have a personal teaching philosophy, not something that someone dictated to you, but like, how am I going to run and manage my life and have that balance between work life and personal life? That's your I think that works into your work philosophy, if you're not a teacher. But for teachers, that's part of your teaching philosophy. How am I going to conduct my job in a way that I am respecting my time? And for different people, that manifests itself differently. For certain jobs, that is not answering phone calls or emails on your weekend, if you can get away with that. Not every job can get away with that. If you do have to spend a late night on a project, doing one thing, then, can you flex that time? If you can't get paid overtime, can you flex that time and get it back somehow, to your boss? Like, hey, I had a really late night last night. I need to, bug off early on this day that's a little bit slower, so I can go spend some time with my kids or take care of something. Not everybody has that the luxury to be able to do that, but sometimes you can assert that. But with teaching, it's very regimented. You have a bell schedule. You have to be there, to run your class, to teach your class. And it's not really a teaching salary is not really an hourly wage, but there's still hourly requirements to being there. So it's kind of one of those weird middle grounds. So, if you're able, as much as possible, you want to respect that work-life balance. So, like I said, I started building my teaching philosophy around this idea that I am not going to take work home. And, it is helpful being an electives woodshop teacher, because, am I going to be able to bring home student projects, like boxes and crates of student woodworking projects, to grade at home? Hell no. No way. Yeah, I can't be expected to do that. I'll throw my back out. You're talking like I'm an old man already. Kind of am, But it's like, I even when I wasn't teaching woodshop, I did not like bringing work home. And I kind of told myself, like, look, as much as possible, don't bring this work home. Now, it's a little bit different if it's like a Sunday night and, I got to finish fleshing out the ideas of a project that we're going to be working the next morning. It's like, all right, well, I didn't do this. I didn't do this during the week like I told myself I would. And so I've kind of brought it upon myself, and that does happen. I'm a procrastinator, and sometimes I would be in a situation where I should have been using my preps, using my work time to plan for a project for, the coming weeks. And for the most part, I would be able to do that. But, things happen, things come up, you get busy. And, there are still certain situations where, when we're actually teaching out of the classroom, where I would, I just wouldn't get something done during the work week. And then Saturday, Sunday rolls around. I'm like, well, I need to sit down for an hour or two and do some lesson planning, do some unit planning, because, well, I didn't do that. I didn't do it earlier. And that's, it is what it is. But I try and avoid those situations as much as possible, because I want to respect my time and my family's time as much as I can. And it's an easy trap to fall into. As a teacher, you are naturally very passionate about what you do and you want to give the best to your students. That doesn't necessarily mean giving all of your free time to your students, right? You can't help other people if you aren't able to manage your time and help yourself first. Honestly, it's one of the reasons why teacher burnout is so high, is because you get some very passionate individuals working very, very hard for students. But the thing is, when you work that hard at your job, in a normal job, you do that so that you can get noticed, you can get promoted, and you can start moving up that ladder. You work harder with the incentive of, some sort of reward there. With teaching, it's more of that altruistic, intrinsic reward of, hey, I did a good job. I worked my butt off for these kids to give them the best education, and that satisfaction of seeing them succeed and go on and do great things. That's great and all. That is, having that personal satisfaction is very important for your self-esteem and your sense of self-worth. But does it advance your career? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If you're looking to move up to be, an administrator or assistant principal, or maybe you're going to, jump out and go into consultancy or write a book, or, if it, you can build that, get your PhD, do a dissertation or something. You can feed that into there. By doing all that extra hard work. And if that's your plan, if that's your goal, then great. I'm not doing any of those things. I used to think I wanted to be an administrator, and then I spent some time watching what my admins actually do, and all of the time and effort. I mean, they're wonderful. They're great people, but they work really, really hard. And I'm like, no, I'm not, I don't want that time commitment. I would rather do many, many other things other than that specifically. I don't have plans to, go get a doctorate or even a master's degree at this time. It used to be something I thought I wanted to do, but, now I'm like, no, don't feel like it. Don't need to. It's not something I feel I need to do to accomplish the things that I want to do. And that's what really it comes down to. Do I want to spend all of my extra time grading and, working for this job, I mean, it's a career, it's a good job. It's a good career. But do I want to spend all my free time doing it? And I realize, with that coming out of my mouth right now, the fact that I am starting a YouTube channel around woodworking, and specifically teaching woodworking, there's a little irony in that statement. So maybe I really do want to be doing this in my free time. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was an interesting revelation. But no, really, what it comes down to is that you don't have to grade anything when you're doing this as a YouTube side thing. But I do love my job. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this as my teaching job. And I wouldn't be doing this as a YouTube thing. You could look at it like I'm taking my work home with me. It's really not. It's more of like I work in the hobby that I like. I like teaching, and I like bringing knowledge to other people and exploring and learning myself lots of different things. This world is a very exciting place. And there's so many things to experience and see, and especially the beauty of the internet is you can see and do and learn anything you want to without leaving your computer chair. So it's not the work part of my job that I'm bringing home. It's the fun. It's the hobby. I love what I do, and I like doing this even in my spare time. I'm just not bringing the grading home. So anyway, that's pretty much what we're talking about today. My weekend plans consist of working in the garage, getting that workbench top installed, and working on some videos. I know that I'm several weeks from my last video, which I'm a little caught up on a carpet here. I'm a little self-conscious about, being so far in between videos, but part of that is that I'm working little bits on videos each week, and even though I'm not, producing something on a regular basis, well, it is regular. It's just not a tight timeline like I initially told myself I was going to. I keep improving my videos. I'm trying new things. I'm experimenting with new styles, and at this phase, I think that's necessary. I have to try different things and see what's out there, and worry about tightening things up a little bit later. I've got a lot of irons and a lot of fires, but that's good, for me. That keeps me busy. That gives me lots of things to work on, and I have to do some yard work this weekend. I am looking forward to it. It'll be good. Anyway, I'm not taking work home with me. That's the whole gist of it. I just take the fun parts home. So hopefully you're able to find that kind of balance in your own life. So have a good weekend, everyone, and I will see you on Monday.